Hello there. This is the first part of a new build series I'm doing today. Currently I'd probably refer to it as the Untitled build series. I haven't actually thought of a title for it yet. You've probably joined me before on my build series for the Titan Rooster, which was a rooster, Armaton rooster frame with Titan motors, where I went through how I built this, why I did it, and all the choice of all the parts. You also probably joined me, or you might have joined me, on my Mongoose build, an Armaton Mongoose. I do have a bit of a thing for my Armaton quads. This one needs a bit more work because the flight controller has just blown up on it. But today we are going to be doing a different build. What I'm going to do is, I really wanted to do a build series that was designed around getting people into the hobby, because I got into this hobby by watching people like Painless 360 doing builds, and I decided that I wanted to do a video that was really aimed at beginner quad pilots. I also wanted to recognise the fact that my audience is actually probably more people from the US than the UK, so I thought I'd use an international company. So I'm going to do this whole build using Banggood, but I am going to do a Banggood build which is all legit parts. So nothing that's a knockoff, it's all legitimate parts. Originally this was going to be a budget quad and I was going to try and do it cheaply. That kind of fell by the wayside when I got some really good options on some cheap motors. What I'll do is I'll link all the parts in the description below. The one exception is the transmitter, which I have to do something different for, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So this build is designed to be really easy for people to do. So they don't have to do very much soldering, because I know that's quite scary when we start. But it will be straightforward, and I will take you step by step through everything that I'm going to do. Right, so let's see what we're going to build. Okay, so we're going to start with the frame. So the frame I've chosen is a GEPRC, it's a GEPRC KHX6 Elegant, which doesn't mean a lot, and it's also not a big package, but in here you get literally everything you need. So your plans of what you need to do, you get a little nice LED and buzzer combo that goes on the back. You get enough foam to soften the blow of any thing on your wallet that you could imagine. Stickers. You get your XT60 already set up, which again, another little thing that makes it nice and easy for new pilots to build. You get battery straps, and you get all your carbon. You even get the Allen keys that you would need to build the frame, but I probably won't be using those. And you also get a nice little TPU mount that you can use for mounting your video transmitter and your antennas. So this frame is very similar design to the Remix frame by the Riot Oh My God Remix frame. It's very similar. It's underslung, and it could be effectively a mid-mount battery. I've gone for a 6-inch variant because I haven't got a 6-inch quad and I really fancied building one. So I will be using, so I'm going to go for a 6-inch. If you are following me along and you want to go to a 5-inch, I will mention the things that I would change in my build if you were going for a 5-inch. But I'm really glad I picked this frame. I really like the look of it, and the fact it's got separate arms so you can change them out seems like a really good idea to me. So I'm really looking forward to building this frame. So next we have motors. Now this is where I was a bit naughty. Now the original idea of this was to use some cheap motors, but I kept on reading reviews that cheap motors had problems. So I decided to not do cheap motors. In fact, decided to do exactly the opposite. So I have got lovely T motors. So I have gone for some very nice F40 Pro 2 2150 kVs. Now I've gone for low kV versions because I'm running 6-inch props, so I want to have some nice torquey motors to go with it. So these have got reasonable length cables so that I can use a ESC so I can use a 4-in-1 ESC, so that'll be quite nice, and they are very pretty. I've heard really good things about T motors, so if this is the chance I could get them, A, get them for cheap, and B, I just really fancy some T motors. So this is my one of my 2 indulgences on this build. Right, so the next part of this build is the flight controller. So I wanted to go for the most simple flight controller that I could choose to build with. So I went for the Teco with Teco ESCs 4-in-1. So this is from Holybro. Again, picked this up from Banggood. So let's open it up and I'll show you what you get. So you will get a nice little, so you get the ESCs underneath, so you've got the 4-in-1 ESC, so that is up to 35 amps. It is a BL Heli 32, so it will run up to 5S probably without any issues. It will go with what I want, and also it's all connected via cables to the flight controller. So this makes it nice and simple, so you don't have much soldering to do. Let me just bring it up to the camera and focus it in. So you will see here that the gyro is actually suspended and soft mounted, so that should give really good performance. So this is looking quite tasty. I'm quite happy with this. There is a few little, I'm a little bit annoyed by the quality control. If you can see here, this cable here is slightly broken. I have emailed Holybro about this. I'm waiting for them to come back to me, but that's a bit of a shame. But there is a spare in the bag, so that is fine. So this is the heart of soul of what we're going to be using, and I wanted this to be as simple for people to solder up as humanly possible, and I'll take everyone step by step how to solder this all up. Video transmitter wise, I have gone for a trusty Maytech VTX, the high voltage variant. So let me just open this up for you to have a little look. The reason I went for this is because, well, there's two video transmitters I use in this world. This one, or I use a UNIFY Pro. These are really good. I've got one of these in my Rooster, although it's built into the PDB. But they are great because they have got decent quality connection here. So you've got MMX connector, so it's nice and solid. They will do tramp telemetry, so you can control them from your OSD. They also have microphone outputs. So they are really, really nice. They are really simple to use. They're great quality and they're easy to build on. So it was a no-brainer for me to go with one of these. I probably, if I had the choice and I wasn't doing just a Banggood build, I might go for the UNIFY Pro just because I have loads of them floating around and I have various spare parts. But this is a really good quality product. I don't have any issue in having that. Right, to go along with that, I also have a GEPRC Pagoda antenna, so a little stubby pagoda. So these are nice little stubby pagoda to go on the back of the quad. Not really much to say. I wanted a decent quality antenna to go on the back. To be fair, more or less everything else I have has a nice little, let me find one, little axis antenna. Hang about, let me find one for you. I normally run a little axis antenna. These are brilliant. I never had a problem with these. They are virtually indestructible and they are pretty good price. Can't get a legitimate one of these from Banggood. You can get some other ones, but they're nowhere near as good a quality. I don't use them. I use these ones. But I've heard good things about GEPRC's antennas. They are pretty good. So I went for this. So the final part of the build isn't here at this moment in time, so I'll just talk about it and show pictures on the screen. So I am going to put in this a Foxeer Predator 1.8mm lens. We're running NTSC camera. Now, the reason I'm running one of those, again, it's not the budget version. I probably should have gone with a Cadex, but I couldn't find a Cadex that was the right form factor in stock. So I decided I'd go with a Foxeer Predator. They've got wide dynamic range. They're a 4x3 camera. Currently they are probably the go-to camera. I think they're a CCD camera for people to use at this moment in time. So I can't really go elsewhere other than the only other real contender would probably be a Runcam Eagle 2 Pro or something like that. But I already have one of those, so I wanted to try something different. So I wanted to do a bit of compare and contrast. For a receiver, I went to what I always go for, which is an FrSky XM Plus, which is a tiny little DD receiver. Here we go. Really, really tiny. Receiver. They are brilliant. I've never had a problem with them. They are really good. They are simple to install, simple to set up, and they should be a little, annoyingly, they've stopped coming with the tiny little bit of heat shrink that normally comes with them, that you would normally wrap the wrap them in, which is a bit of a shame. But this is good quality. I didn't buy this from Banggood simply because of the fact I need to have an EU one because all my transmitters are EU software. But they are good. I've never had a problem with one, so I fly with those on pretty much all my quads. So that's where I'm going to go for this build. So on screen now you should have pretty much a cost of what this cost me to build. I've tried to keep the budget low. I mean, you can go a lot cheaper, and there are videos out there that will tell you can build a mini quad for 100 quid, and you can. You won't have legitimate parts, you'll have things that go wrong. This is designed to be a really good quality build that shouldn't fail you and will give you what you need to have. So that's why I've gone down this route. So if you're joining me and you are literally, this is your first ever build, things you're going to need to build your mini quad. So you will need, let me just check my little shopping list of things you'll need to build. So you'll need a soldering iron. You'll need to make sure you've got a really small tip on that soldering iron. I use, let me get hold of mine. So I have one that looks a bit like that. It's a fully adjustable temperature, which makes my life an awful lot easier. You will need to have solder, so I use this type of solder, which is 6040 3mm solder. I use this in all my builds. It's just really good quality, makes my life nice and easy. You will need to have an array of Allen keys. Now, there was some in the box of the GEPRC, but I found that these sort of nice knurled handle ones make building quite easy. So you will need a 3mm, a 2.5mm, a 2mm, a 1.5mm, and something to do up your props. So that will do you for those tools. You will need a little knife, like this one, because you'll always need cutting little bits and pieces, and also good for taking off if you haven't got wire strippers. This will do the job. You will need cable ties. Little cable ties are always very useful. You will need to have some sticky tape with soft foam double-sided sticky tape. You will need to have heat shrink of varying different sizes. Let me find some of that. So heat shrink for various different sizes. What else will you need? Obviously props, and you'll need some electrical tape. There we go. So that's all the other bits and pieces you need. So the next videos will start building and going through the process. Hopefully you'll join me as I go through, and hopefully you'll learn something. Anyway, thanks very much for your time today. I'll see you all next time.